Yep, we transferred over.
I love that bold confidence of yours, Plymph. Well, we aren't doing fan battle cast anymore, so hopefully that'll make it easier on you.
Rest in peace, fan battle test.
Rest in peace.
It was not random bullshit. It was a business strategy meeting.
Serious business.
I do voice another man. That is an accurate description. I voice several men, technically. But yes, I'm sure I'm happy to be here.
Yo, it's me. Jumper!
Hello. I'm also gonna. I think you also have announced that I'm voicing someone in the next episode, so you could have said that. Do you like tacos? Yeah, community-wide matchup. Let's go. Sad.
Uh, I feel like Caine Tenna and then Aangtraveler makes sense. Where to start
Gosh.
with this one?
Alright, sure, I'm gonna let you go first, and I'll go right after that. I'm thinking of some good
Yeah,
things.
and then I'll go third because I also have lots of things to say about this.
Caine versus
Everything's wrong.
That's what makes the show
No.
a great dynamic. So Caine versus Tenna, my fan battle, is my favorite versus content of 2026 so far. I really had a great time watching it. I think Noah and Wagon voicing themselves instead of voicing a fake whiz and boomstick are able to put a lot more kind of character and have a lot more fun with their
Sit down.
scripts. Uh, there's some nitpicky things I
uh,
could point out with both of their analyses, but I
Plime
think
is silent on the stream, apparently.
I think I fixed it. I did never when I set up your guys' audio, I never set up mine so they couldn't hear me. That's embarrassing. It's funny because Death Battle literally just did that themselves. Anyway, yeah, I introduced the show. We said everyone was beautiful, and now we were talking about Caine versus Tenna.
yes.
Hold on, let me make sure that everyone can hear me. Yeah, okay, you can hear me. Great, awesome, wonderful.
Oh, sweet, cool.
Yeah. I thought the analyses were great. I think what I've been noticing about this season 2 of Fan Battle with Lusamine Raggio and this one is that you can really tell the script writers like what they're talking about and have a passion for it, and that really comes through with just like the characterization and like the arcs of Tenna and Caine. I think those were covered very very well. And oh man, that fight. They did a whole very very lengthy animation. I think it was like 10 minutes. it was not like super high fidelity animation the whole time. They cut a lot of smart corners, but it never shifted to text on the screen. There was a visual on the screen at all times, and I think it was done incredibly well. It was very story based, very interaction based, very character based, and they just knocked it out of the park. I think the voice actors for Caine and Tenna were great. Caine especially had some phenomenal voice work in the fight. Um, and I assume we can just spoil and talk about stuff that happened in the fight. There's a part where Tenna is calling Caine a hack and is like trying to get him off the air. And then Caine gets really mad, goes into like his monster form, and is like if being very terrifying and chasing after Tenna. And he does like they do a version of the Am speech, but in a way that makes sense in context. And it's just yeah, the animation was so good and so fun to watch. The comedy was great. I love the character moments at the very end. Um, I assuming I can spoil who won the fight. When Tenna eventually beats Caine at the end, and Caine sees like fireworks of his face. He's like he has like Caine has just this moment of like kind of not maybe not satisfaction, but like contentedness. And like he kind of tears up and says like I love TV. And like that line read by the voice actor was so good. I think the analysis
Yes.
explained it well. The post credits with like all the Deltarune and circus characters hanging out was a very fun cherry on top. I love this versus animation. It's not as high quality as maybe the best of Death Battle, but I think with what they had to work with, it really shows off the potential of what Fan Battle can do, and I'm just so impressed and love what they came up with.
For me, when it comes to the King Tenna fan battle, now like King Tenna, it's like was it? There's a lot of good matchups for Kane, and I really like that matchup for Kane as well. And just I think they really brought it just to life. I don't know, like when it comes to the analysis, right? I was like, okay, then whenever Kane, and then like I'm still catching up on Delta, so I got to learn more about like Tenna and at least how at least the Dark Worlds work. And I was like, at least I was kind of proven right in terms of like how they're gonna get these characters to let's say Kane and Tenna interact in this, like fan battle animation where it's like, oh well, I guess the digital circus would it's like equalization where the digital circus would kind of be treated as a sort of dark world, right? Right. So I think it's pretty nice. Way to get like Kane and Tenna to just interact and just see the banter between the two as they're just trying to like kind of like show off and just impress people while also fighting each other. And I don't know. I think the voice acting. I think they had what was it for Tenna? It was RE like Rec D or RECD or something like that. He does. I think I've seen some of his content, and he provided a wonderful Tenna voice. Like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I totally imagine Tenna sounding like this. And I think my favorite part of the animation was, I think the stakes of it, where it's like Kane he's the one with the quote remote guy from like Deltarune. That's basically the MacGuffin to whoever gets this is gonna win the fight. Kane gets it first, and he's like, "I've got it," and like basically everything's like turning to static, more I guess glitchy, right, or whatever, or digital, and it's like, oh shit, is like Tenna gonna lose? You see, like, oh, like like static and developing him, right, and then like Kane's like, "Thanks for playing," and he clicks it. It's like, oh, I think did Kane just win? Oh snap! And then like, nah, like Tenna shows like, nah, actually, it's my turn. Actually, you can't do that. Here, throw the act card. That was I like that. And once again, I think that for me, the cherry on top was definitely the fine performance that whoever voice acted Kane did a wonderful job because that like the final line for Kane at the end was like, "I love TV." I was like, it was just so yeah, it was really nice. I mean,
We brought up the voice actor for Tenna. I really loved Kane's performance. I think Caine was my favorite performance of the video, and that was done by Universe Kami, so I want to shout them out. Phenomenal work.
nice.
All right.
Who voiced the rules card?
Mr. Rules
The
card.
credits pulled up. Let me see if I can find that.
I feel like Rules Car was kind of funny in that
Oh
animation.
yeah, like
I will save you.
God damn it! Well, I'm gonna say I think Jobber and Sherm did a really good job summarizing the highlights of it. I'm also a big fan of how the fan battle team covered this episode. Like, it was definitely a lot longer and ambitious than I was expecting them to go. And even though they did have cut a few corners here and there, I think overall, like, it did a lot of the characters great justice. So much fun, mastered it. The title sequence where they incorporate like the Deltarune characters into the way Glitch does the circus was just cherry on top. I will be the I guess I shall be the critic, though. I will point out just a few things that think don't really detract, but things I noticed. I think my main real thing with it was like the moment where Caine just starts abstracting everyone, which I think was a little out of character, especially with his development post Digital Circus. With that doesn't really seem like a move he'd go for, even if Tenna was just pushing him to the edge. Other than that, like everything else was just spot on, and even with that included, like it made for an incredible love letter to both franchises. You could tell the passion they had for not only the matchup but for the characters, and I'm just really happy that they were able to cover it in such a good way.
There is a line
Cool.
where Caine says, "Well, these guys don't seem to be human, so tear them to pieces, boy." So he might have been like abstracting them because he thought they were just like NPCs or something.
It's still like it felt out of
That
left field and not something I would have gone, or at least I would have framed it more as an accident, more as him like maliciously trying to abstract things.
my biggest critique is kind of like going with that. A lot of people's complaints with Caine matchups is that how do you have a setting where Caine has his abilities and other people have theirs? And to that, I say, how do you have any versus setting where both characters would have their abilities? How would you have a Star Wars setting where he is in Naruto's world and the Force somehow exists there? You know what I mean? I feel like you always have to do like an in between. I think they went a little too much into it. And I was going to reference the abstraction scene because I don't even think that's something that is possible for Caine to do, just with the limitations of his own series and the fact that if you're not an NPC or if you're not a human mind, they shouldn't be able to abstract because NPCs wouldn't have that ability to abstract because the abstraction is caused by the human mind data and the human mind jumbling up because it's so complex, right? So if he thought they were NPCs and he made them or he thought they were NPCs and he made them extract, wouldn't that prove to him that they are people?
But
Right? And that's one of the things that I was just like, huh? um it's such a minor thing because I do think it's really good, but there's just certain things for verse equalization that I was just like, oh, okay, interesting.
Random.
My other thing is the length. And a lot of people are going to say they like how long it is, and this might just be a me thing. I think it was too long, and I think there was like four different parts where I thought the fight was going to end and then it didn't. Um, which kind of made me go like, "Oh, okay, it's still going." Instead of like, "Oh my god." You know what I mean?
Yeah, I the
And
pacing did kind of drag out in places. I will admit that.
I do think like
I
if
think
there
Kara
was
X is a good example of that as well, to be fair. That there's like it's really long and there's multiple places where it's possible that oh this might be the ending, this might be the ending, and I think that is inherently a problem, but I think it doesn't drag down a great episode.
Yeah.
yeah. I think
Hmm, true.
longer length can be a bit tricky because there are some things we might talk about, including maybe a deathbed a little bit, where a lack of buildup can kind of just make it seem like we're not actually watching anything but a bunch of emotion on screen. But it did definitely like the parts where we were seeing the different physical challenges and the different adventures. I think each individual gag was funny, but it was a big time sink and a big pace breaker. So it was a big issue for me, but there is a difference in like inertia between the second half of the fight where one thing leads into the next and the beginning where it's kind of just like a bunch of setup gags.
Yeah, it felt like they had a lot of funny gags that they wanted to include, but like didn't really have a good way to like link them up until like the second half. But
It
they
kind of
didn't want
felt
to cut
less like I was
anything.
watching like a specific animated fight and more like I was watching like a crossover episode.
Yeah, yeah,
Especially with like
it
the
does have
length.
that feeling.
Jay Tequila said it's technically a blight. Caine calls the first abstraction, but this is something he outright didn't want to ever do. What I'm saying is that not that he couldn't do that, but that it's weird that he was able to do that to the Dark World people who aren't Data, and that if they did abstract in the first place after saying that they're not human, it would then show him that they are human and then not want to extract them. Am I making sense?
No,
You
no,
are
you're
making
making
It
sense.
makes
I
sense.
think
Yeah.
we can like Watsonianly explain away why that happened in the animation. But you are right that like it is a bit of like an eyebrow raising interaction that like if you think
yeah.
about it, it'll kind of take you out a little bit.
You know, I
Yeah.
think
Take me out. That's a good way to put it. It was just throughout the whole thing, it was seeing that happen that made me go, all right.
I could see a cool interaction where instead of abstracting, he does something, and then they turn into the objects they're based on. I think that would have
Oh,
been
that
a
would be
cool.
cool.
That would have been a cool compromise to like wanting the escalation of them being destroyed, but not really going the abstraction route, since it causes a lot of weird questions and implications on characterization and logistics.
This is
I
fundamentally just a
also
weird thing because Kanan versus animation is a little weird because in order for his powers to work on something, they have to have code because he manipulates code. He doesn't just genuinely warp reality. So you could argue that he could mess up something with code, but we just wouldn't know what it looks like if not an abstraction.
so moving on from that, there's one other thing I want to talk about, and it's kind of the star level elephant in the room. Um, this is the thing. So whenever we talk about these, I try to see what the most criticized part of these episodes are. This is something I do for my own show as well. I try to see what the most criticized part of the episode are, and then I like to get people's thoughts on them. And it seems like the most critical thing people have been talking about is the tennis scaling. Um, in my opinion, wow, you can see the light of day change in this fucking kitchen right now. In my opinion, I think their scaling chain makes sense, but I'm also not as well versed in Deltarune. And I know you guys. I think Ten is a Chapter 2 character, right?
Chapter
So
3
I'm pretty sure
character.
you guys in Chapter 3 character. I'm pretty sure you guys have a better idea of if this scaling is valid or not,
It's
or have thoughts on it at least.
from my perspective, it's a very nuanced discussion, and reasons for buying it and not buying it are very valid. Uh, it just kind of goes into a thing where the nature of dark worlds are not. We know a lot about them, but we don't know everything about them. So, like, it's just a thing of like two very reasonable interpretations of the same thing, and it's hard to argue which one is objectively correct between the two.
Yeah, like especially since Deltarune's not finished, and we're with each new chapter we get more details that either support or contradict things that we put together in the past. So until we get like a complete product and we're able to kind of like see it beginning to end with everything in mind, it's really hard to like settle on concrete feats and how everything scales with, just because we next chapter we could find some information that makes us reevaluate how we look at everything else.
Yeah.
I
You know,
think it's a valid interpretation given what we had at the time of like, the episode, but like I could also see this not aging the best if a new chapter comes out and it kind of disproves the star theory arguments.
The
um,
way I understand the scaling is that in the chapter you fight Tenna, and then moments later in the same chapter you fight something that is the embodiment of a dark world, like a dark world manifest or something like that.
the way they explain it, that's what it would seem like. What actually happens is you fight Tenna at the end of chapter 3, and then you fight something called Titan at the end of chapter 4. And the thing is, like, those do happen, like, in the same night, but people will argue that just because they happen the same day doesn't mean the scaling should be legit because it's just kind of like a Deltarune thing where you, like, get stronger rapidly. The thing is, like, there are other valid scaling chains that say, like, Tenna would scale to end of chapter 4 characters. It's just, it's not as quick to explain as just saying, like, he fought the Fun Gang who later fought the Titan.
Okay. The other thing I saw is Caine potentially getting the scaling because I guess concept art and stuff shows that there's a starry sky, but we see multiple angles of the circus just being in the void, meaning the sky is most likely a skybox that you just pass through, which would make sense because of what kind of program the circus is. So I feel like that's like kind of an easily explained way. It would feel weird for me to give Caine any type of scaling like that just because of what he is.
Yeah.
Um, he realistically everything he does is hacks based and not like AP based. Like if he blows up a mountain because he snaps his fingers and the code goes away, does that mean he's mountain level? I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that.
It's always weird. Digital characters always add a little air of ambiguity to how strong they actually are.
Not with Digimon. Caine goes up against Agumon. That's it for Caine. He's
Caine
done
already
so.
loses most of his spread. We don't need to throw Digimon in there.
I think
You
the
don't need to
biggest
feed them to Digimon; they're already
I,
busted.
I
true.
don't know if you saw Saul in the Discord posted his like hot takes or something, but he was just like, I think Alistair beats Caine. I'm like, you gotta give him one, dude. You gotta give Caine one.
You gotta give
Remember,
Kane one.
we were talking about like Kane's got to win one of his matchups, and then I said like maybe King Candy from Wreck It Ralph, and then Saul was like, well, actually, and I was like, all right.
Yeah, yeah. After our Tenna Caine cast, we were just kind of going down the laundry list of like Kane's options, and we found out that Caine does not really have a good argument against any of them.
Hey,
Oh no.
you know, with like,
If
yeah,
you go.
I mean, with Kane with his like match and stuff like that, I think probably one of the more, I guess, one of the big critiques seen from Kane on Kane Alice, or sorry, no, nah, sorry, Kane Tenna is like essentially, this comes from like the casual fan base, I guess, where it's like, well, what's stop it? It's like, nah, this fight's unrealistic. Kane would just like snap his fingers, Tenna would be gone. And, yeah, that's very much that pretty much is all the Kane's matches, no matter what. Like, this can be like some fans like, nah, Kane just snaps him away. What do they do? Like, whoa. I don't know. I've seen that with Kane. I think I've also seen people like, I don't know, put his speed up like really high before they're like, nah, fan battle, they downplayed Kane's speed. He's actually massively faster. Like, how'd you get that? Like, where? Remember when Kane was like banished? Oh, he's deleted? Yeah, you remember those things he used to move past? Or were they? It was light, bro. Like, wait, what? Like, wait,
I
wait,
have
I'm
So
confused. What?
I've heard arguments that processing all the assets at once equates to a speed feat because it's how fast the computer is able to render and move things at the same time. Which I don't know if I buy that completely.
But by that logic, wouldn't he be like massively slower because he's spending a bunch of his processing power to run the circus?
I
And
don't know. You were
yeah.
on that cast, I think.
You were debating on that cast.
processing speed doesn't equal reaction speed. That is correct.
Yes, it is. I'm just
Um,
imagining Kane getting slower like during the fight because he's like creating all these assets to fight his opponent. Like he's creating all the assets. He's like, I gotta, yeah. He's just getting slow. No, like, bro.
Yeah.
moving on to let's do Aangtraveler last, just because this will probably be a shorter segment. I'm very curious, Sherm. I don't remember the name of Demon Archer's first show. Oh my god, I'm a terrible
In like
person.
FCC or something.
FCC fictional something. Paul, please don't kill me. They did Bill Cipher versus Timekeeper Cookie. I was
Yes.
curious as to your thoughts on it because I texted you like my brief thoughts after the facts. I want to know yours.
I think as an animation, or just as like a whole video to watch, it was very cool. I think something interesting is that I enjoy Cookie Run Kingdom. I'm trying to get some draws right now, as a matter of fact. Anyway, it was very fun to see it because Cookie. It's been I keep on calling it Cookie Clicker. Cookie Run Kingdom has been getting a bigger presence in verses as the story gets more and more insane. They just introduced the afterlife, which you can explore. So it was very fun just to like see a video actually explaining the different aspects of the scaling and the different items in the lore and everything. So that was very cool. Uh, Bill Cipher, it was another Bill Cipher analysis. I don't think it did too much to differentiate it from other Bill Cipher episodes, but seeing the Timekeeper cookie talked about was very fun, and I quite enjoyed that. The actual animation itself was a bit weird. I felt like there was context I was missing because it felt like they just kind of threw us into like some war or something. I don't know. The animation seemed a bit confusing to me, but I very much enjoyed watching the analysis of Timekeeper Cookie.
I think I did see this, but like the fight only version, I didn't realize there was analysis for it.
Yeah, he uploads the fight only right after the fact.
Yeah. So like,
What a coward! Wow, I can't believe he would do that. Who would upload a version of their fight after the end? Like, do you even want analysis sections, bro? What's going on here?
No passion for the
No.
art.
yeah, what a loser. Anyway,
I've seen people I've seen people say that about certain versus shows that upload the fight only. I'm like, what? Okay,
so yeah,
what a crazy thing to say.
I do think the
I
animation was fun, if not a little like rough around the edges.
To me, the way I interpreted the setting was that it was like this weird Mageddon kind of thing where realities and stuff were like mixing in with each other, and the cookies were also there. That's kind of just how I thought of it. Because I'm pretty sure at a certain point you see Knuckle Joe, or is his name Glass Joe? What's his name?
Is the from Kirby?
No,
From Joe,
from Punch Out,
I think it was Glass Joe.
Yeah, that's Glass Show.
Glass Joe, which was also character in Fan Battles, Metal Sonic versus Cell, if anyone remembers that. But I think for me, it felt like, and this could be also me watching the live premiere and seeing the guy who runs the channel talk about how much he wants people to see his passion for Cookie Run Kingdom. It definitely felt like he really wanted to reveal stuff about that, and Bill Cipher was also there. But that could also be one, I don't really have an attachment to Bill Cipher. And I never want to make that criticism because it's not really a criticism, right? But and people say this about me all the time when it comes to Kara X. People think I put more into X's analysis than I did Kara's, which isn't true. So I never want to assume somebody went in with this one passion for one character and then less so for the other, but it's just kind of what it felt like on my first watch through and seeing in the comments him hype up Cookie Run. But that could also just be that Cookie Run is more obscure thing. Gravity Falls is very big, so you don't really need to talk about Gravity Falls in the same context. Um, the fight had a lot of beats of Bill versus Discord. Uh, and it kind of threw me off a little bit. Even the ending is very Bill versus Discord. Um, and I'm wondering, is Bill a very one note character that
In what
it's
regard?
if if you put him into a bunch of versus settings with a bunch of different opponents, is he more or less going to do the same thing in each one of them?
Hmm.
I
So
mean,
Bill only has so much animated content where he's like in the world and he's ready to throw down box, especially considering the fact that he is fighting very grounded human characters for the most part. But he does do a lot of reality warping stuff when he's not present in the world as well. and there's a ton of like written lore about things he can do. I think he's a very versatile character that can do a ton of different things. It just requires some creativity.
Yeah, like
Okay.
I think his general mindset of like, how he attacks and his mannerisms could be samey across it just because of how he is and how he treats uh entities of his level. But as far as like his powers go, like people will run into the trap of just seeing the stuff we've seen him do and not really lean into like, okay, warp reality. Like he had a cut song from Gravity Falls where he shows a much more variety of powers, like making bears sing, turning freaking mandibloud clouds into like tornadoes, changing a coffee to decaf. Like, there's a lot of creative stuff you can do with that and still make it feel like Bill Cipher just messing around with people.
All right.
Hey, I just pulled
I think time.
Asphodel cookie. That's from the new run. I just got it.
Oh,
Are you playing Cookie Run
You're
right
playing
now?
Cookie Run
he's
on the
playing Cookie
cast?
Run.
Bro!
Yeah.
Look at the.
Unprofessional. Get him
That
out.
Get him
that's
out.
really my thoughts on that. I did enjoy it overall, but those were the things that really stuck out to me. Also, there's the Book of Bill was not counted in the research because the research had been done that long ago. Which I feel for, because productions take a really long time, and if you keep updating your research as productions go, you'll never release a product. So I'm one of those people that fully understands that. Not everyone is me in keeping up with fucking the ReZero stories as they were coming out in the Konosuba fucking side story that came out right before our episode dropped. Not everyone is me. Even if I even though I did read it and it couldn't we I literally couldn't have changed anything in that video. Imagine Kazuma in that side story is like, by the way, he's immune to return by death. It's like, oh my research.
What?
Oh.
Something I would like to
um,
say about Bill versus Timekeeper Cookie was I like how they pointed out the character flaw of Timekeeper Cookie specifically in a fight to the death, which is that Timekeeper Cookie is existentially incredibly bored by everything. So if in a fight that's actually interesting to her, she will basically never willingly end the fight because then she'd be bored again, which would make it very hard for her to ever win any of these things if the opponent has any kind of a win con, because she just won't stop fighting until that happens. I
did
thought that was
they
very
did they
fun.
go over that
They
in
did
the
go over
episode?
that, yeah.
That's so fucking funny.
It's like a big thing. Like that was like one of their points was like who would go for their win cons first, and like they're like definitely not Timekeeper Cookie. She'd want the fight to last as long as possible.
My last note before we move on to Aangtraveler, uh, please buy your co-host a better microphone. Anyway, Aangtraveler, um, I again, I have a lot more positive thoughts than apparently Twitter. um, so I'm very curious what you guys' thoughts on it. But
I
being
I,
someone,
I liked it.
Yeah.
being being someone who's a little more familiar with Genshin, I thought it told his story in a very interesting but weird way. Um, I don't quite understand why they would bring up factors that we don't know about yet, like Lumine's whole motivation for doing what she does. It's not really important to the story at all, so it's kind of at least where we are in the story right now. So it's very weird that they would be like hype all this stuff and they'd be like, "And what's it for? We have no clue." And I'm like, "Okay."
I don't know. Like,
Thank you for that information.
I could see it as just like trying to future proof it of like Genshin's an ongoing story. We don't know about it. If someone stumbles on this like a few years from now and they have lore, they'll be like, why wasn't this mentioned? And then it's like, yeah, we actually don't know at this point. So I don't know. Probably just an attempt to future proof. I didn't find it that weird.
As someone that knows nothing about Genshin, watching it did make it pretty interesting. That part of the analysis was, at least to me, I was like, oh, that's an interesting aspect of the story. I wonder how that's going to play out. So maybe they kind of threw that in as a way to be like, kind of throw in some interesting characterization for both Aether and the story of Genshin. Because I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Um, I think
It's possible.
for like was Aangtraveler, right? Like, going to the episode, like I mean, I know pretty much. I think pretty much everyone here even just watched Avatar, right? But like in terms of Genshin, zero clue on that. I was like, all right, so you know what? Let's see, like what's Genshin got? You know, like story wise. Then I mean, it's definitely got me interested. Is it a game series I would play? Probably not, but at least it definitely got me interested in the at least not even just the character, but just kind of just the world there. I'm like, wow, this is pretty crazy. And there's a lot of flashing lights, magic stuff. I don't know what's going on, but we're here with it, okay? But I mean, yeah, and also Will's Angst was I think the editing for the episode fantastic, and oh my goodness, the animation it so many colors. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. In my opinion, I really liked the animation. Okay, I was like, all right, like especially the colors of the. I think my favorite part actually, favorite part was when Aang. He went to the Avatar like state, right, and he literally started aura farming on Traveler. Okay, you know what? Listen, Aang may, I guess we have his like most people say like you can stop. Listen, regardless of how he went out, and dear God, he got like sliced in half. It's crazy. But the point is, he was in the Avatar state and he was aura farming. He was literally doing the opening like, and he was like reciting the opening like stuff like air fire. Like, oh my God, that's crazy, dog.
I
But
think the
yeah.
I think the Avatar State moment has some ups and downs animation wise. I don't want to be like too nitpicky, but I remember very specifically thinking like Aether, I think either freezes or puts Aang in rock, and then Aang goes into the Avatar State and breaks out of it.
Mhm.
They're in midair when
No,
this
that's not
happens.
what happens at all. That's not
He's
what
in
happens
some
at
kind
all.
of he's in a thing. He's in
So
like some
Traveler is going to kick Aang, and Aang waves his hand to use rock bending to earth bending to cover himself before the kick hits him, and then
I'm
he uses that cover to then go into the Avatar state.
my point was he breaks out of something. I'm literally looking at the video as I'm doing this so I know what I'm talking about. Um, and he's just like for a split second, he's kind of just floating there in midair, and he like looks grumpy. And there's like it doesn't feel like a freeze frame. It just feels like he's floating there. And I just thought that like that looks a little silly. But the actual part where he Aether is throwing like water and earth at Aang, and Aang is like martial art master, very competently countering it was very cool. I do
Yeah.
think the fire bending moment looked weird. Like when he countered the fire, it just kind of didn't look like firebending to me. I didn't know what that. It just looked very weird, but
Yeah.
that was a cool
Which
moment.
when he dispels the flame pillar, or when he just punches it out.
Like the fire pillar comes out and like Aang kind of twists his whole body like in a he like kicks in the air to like make it just go away, and then he like airbends. I guess it's just like a something about that specific animation just looked kind of weird to me.
I always thought he looked like he was going like yeah when he got out of the fight band. He was like fucking kicks
Yeah.
his legs up and it goes away.
Like if it's early
Uh,
season Aang, I could definitely see him doing something like that. Like, yeah,
I don't know if anyone really clocked this. Did
Mhm.
anyone get weirded out that they didn't give Aang his Avatar state voice? Instead, they just made him sound a little more serious.
I didn't
Oh,
even think about that.
yes,
I,
same
I,
here.
I
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
when
didn't
you're in
think
the
about
Avatar state, you hear like multiple voices. That's like in every Avatar state, they've done that. I think in Aang versus Ed, they even did that, but here it's just Aang with like a little effects, just talking seriously. I was like, that's a little strange. I can understand Korra doing that maybe because Korra breaks the cycle, but Aang is like very much connected to it,
yeah.
especially in the new movie where he's a whole ass fraud for the entire fucking movie.
Mm.
I have not seen the
He
film
get
yet. No spoilers.
here's a spoiler. He gets his ass kicked about 20 fucking times, and I don't think succeeds in any combat in the entire film.
God,
Damn.
why would you say that?
Dang. I mean, he's not wrong. He's not. I actually
He's
did.
a
I actually saw
whole
the
ass.
film last night. By the way, that's crazy.
He's a whole ass fraud in that entire film, bro.
Yeah, like I was like, damn, he's getting packed up.
The Avatar makes me a bit.
Like I'm just
Oh,
I don't want to go
God.
too further because that would be more spoilers. But oh my god, there's like I was like, wait, how did that even happen? I was like, how? Like,
In terms of the episode, I think they did a lot very well. I think it's probably one of the most beautiful fights they've done in terms of like color and effects. People really hate this scene online, but I really like the gliding in the air scene.
Oh, I love that. That's one of the best parts of this episode.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
He's like,
think
"Can you do this?" and creates a whole ass fucking tornado.
that was great.
The
I
whole
think-
time, Traveler's like, "No, I can't."
I think it's very pretty to look at. I think the animation is held back a little bit by the choreography to a certain degree. Like, I
Yeah,
don't think like when they're like, there's one moment I remember thinking particularly where I was like, I don't. This doesn't really look like a interesting good fight. Was it's a lead up to it's actually really cool where like Aang helicopters up to like a cliff, and then Ether does a really cool like lightning zip zap up the cliff. And then like a smoke screen appears because Ether's fire sword interacts with Aang's water bending. And that part's cool. But then like in the actual smoke screen, like it doesn't really look like their attacks are making contact. And Aang does seismic sense, but I have no idea what he was trying to do, except I guess maybe he was trying to see in the fog, but it didn't really feel like that made a tangible difference. And I remember thinking that part was like, it doesn't really look like a good fight. It kind of just looks like colors and smoke. But then it led to the really cool air scooter down the cliff into glider versus wing part, which is maybe my favorite part of the animation. So there's a lot of ups and downs for me in terms of like parts of the animation that looked good versus didn't look good.
yeah.
I'm kind of like
I don't-
surprised that like Aang never kind of like had that like what was it? Remember that guy that was it that Dante fought up against? What was his name again? It was fucking
Live.
yeah, Clive, right? Where like I'm surprised that like Aang didn't have like a Clive moment where like just the stuff that the traveler's throwing out. I'm like Aang didn't question what is that? Like what? It's like yo, what is this? Like genuinely,
For
like
a couple small moments like that. Like I remember when Aang got hit by like the green plant energy, he was like, "What?" And then he got like smacked in the face, so he got distracted at that point before he could continue being confused.
imagine Traveler
In
just
that
pulled out the
scene-
blicky. Like what?
Oh Jesus! Yeah, Traveler has a gun now. I don't know if anyone knows that, but he just straight up has a gun now.
Oh,
Um, The scene you're talking about, I think all they were trying to really demonstrate is that neither would have an advantage in the smoke because if you notice the elements, Aang is kind of like grayed out, and the elements on the sword in Aang's water are like colored, and that's because Traveler in Genshin can see magic even when like he has no sight. So in the dark or something like that. So I think they were trying to convey this like seismic sense competes with that, and they would be on the same level. But that is probably the weakest scene in the animation. I
Yeah.
probably agree with that.
I would
think,
like
like-
to ask the guy who knows Genshin Impact. Ether has a line at the very end. I think it's like his final line that it's supposed to sound very dramatic, but as someone who has no context, it felt like very random. Is Ether's like final line where he says something about like I don't remember what he says specifically, but I remember
Infinite Dust and Dawns.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that like cool if you're a Genshin fan? Because for me, I was like, I have no
it's-
idea what he's waffling on about.
It's a reference.
Is
Like,
it a
I
good
just-
reference?
It's one of those things where they almost verbatim take a line and put in all of Traveler's lines are fight lines and lines he says in major interactions in Aangtraveler. That's literally it. Just he doesn't have any really original stuff for the Aangtraveler animation because he doesn't really have a story or a voice or anything like that. In terms of like, you're not going to find Traveler having whole conversations. I don't even think he has speaking lines outside of combat in the
Dang.
game.
Like you can choose dialogue options or something.
But he doesn't say them.
Oh,
It kind of like you pick the option and then the other character responds to it.
You know,
Not-
I think
not to-
I'm pretty sure the line they used is just from when he uses that line on that god thing that he uses it on in Genshin, the giant fire blade. Pretty sure it's literally just that line. I could be wrong about that.
I think what was I thinking? I think about the episode, right? I think the way Aang went out was like it was for me. It was kind of unintentionally. Or like picture how you went out. Okay, this dude he pulled Traveler. He pulled out a giant flaming sword, and Aang's just literally getting electrocuted. He's like, "Ah!" And then just he throws the sword and he cuts it in half so hard that the parts the sea, and we see Aang's just it's splitting out. Like, oh, I was like, oh my god! And then Aang just disintegrates. I'm like, holy shit! I don't damn. I didn't expect Aang to go out like that. I was like, whew, that's a crazy, crazy kill. I was like,
Yeah.
yo.
You know, one thing I want to point out about the ending that I really like how they did it, but just a fun thing I like to point out the moment where he kind of sends the electricity up through the attack and hitting Aang, and just, them using the argument of because he surrounds himself by the elements, he's just opening his up door to the other elements just kind of interacting and screwing him over. It's like, oh wow, this is the Toph can crush Gara because Gara automatically surrounds himself with Earth argument. That argument just came around full circle and screwed Aang over. I just thought that was a nice bit of irony. It's like, oh, they gave him so much flack for that, and then Aang fell down to the same thing. How the turntables.
The irony was so strong, not even Toph could bend it. That was
I love that.
Speaking of the conclusion, I think the conclusion made me like the idea of the matchup a bit more because I think the different chapters they talked about different advantages was pretty interesting, especially the part where they were talking about AP ends on the lower end and the elemental mastery. I thought that made the comparison between the two characters a lot more compelling. I do this almost as with every death battle, but I do think it's a funny where and then there's a 3,000 times stat gap, which maybe the experience equals out for the real main point. It's like no, the 3,000 times speed gap is the main point, no matter how much flowery language you try to spin on the end. But I do think what they talked about was very fun.
I think this year started with their conclusions being really weird, right? I don't know if people would agree with me on that, but Ichigo Yusuke's was good, and then the next three episodes were like Baku Reise. It was like, all right, who has the versatility? Oh, she can heal and do all this, so she gets an advantage because she can heal. But it doesn't matter because Bakugo would blow her up in one hit. But she can heal. Stuff like that is like, all right. Here's the intelligence category, or here's the groove mind. Here's the skill category, but it's actually speed.
Yeah.
Uh, um, but the last three episodes we've gotten, Century Prime, Yuji Denji, and this have all had really solid conclusions. Nobody buys, including myself, that Traveler scales that low, but I understand why Death Battle would put it at a closer range just for the show and the casual audience, right? People put Traveler from star to uni. I don't think that's true because in context of a lot of those feats, he had a super powerful buff or was being helped by allies or whatever. But I would still put him at the very least planet level based on things that can just shift planets with their power, and he's able to strike and overpower them. Mountain level traveler, when I was watching this with Stephanie, I started laughing. I was like, all right, well, they're gonna talk about they talked about the moving the continent feet. They're gonna call it even, and then when the conclusion came and they made it, he was like, I fucking told
Even
you. And
Steven.
Stephanie's like, I literally don't care.
Yeah. Well, I will
I
say,
just not to double back too much, but I just want to touch on the analyses. As someone that knew nothing about Genshin, it was kind of just like, yeah, I'll just sit through it so I can get to the fight. Uh, they did sell the world building of Genshin to be something that sounded pretty cool. I like
yeah.
the way they compared Aang learning about the different nations and learning the elements, and they kind of did a similar thing with the Traveler and all the different places they go to and learn about. I thought that's a sometimes a good thing when a matchup has connections and thematics is you can draw these parallels in the analyses to make the character seem more compelling. I think this was like a good example of that. It didn't make me interested in actually checking out Genshin, but it did make it as an outside perspective be like, this seems like it's got some solid world building. That's pretty cool.
I think if anything, people understood more why it was a matchup
Yeah.
after both the analyses, because I feel like going into it, a lot of people were like, "What the fuck?"
I know in my brain, I was like, yeah,
But
sure. Just seems like some reason to do Genshin.
And then
Iconic
you
character
watch it, and
versus
you're like,
Genshin
oh
protagonist.
wait, they're actually cooking here. Hold up.
I was like, okay, there's some sauce on this idea. I see why they want to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Also,
love the way that they portray Traveler as a guy that's just like, just looking for my sister, bro. I don't want to unite the world. Fine.
uh, what one thing about the fight that I really am just like, oh, thank God they did that. We just do the, open, and they're already fighting. And I'm like, thank God they didn't do like an artificial misunderstanding type thing, or like they did with like Edward and Aang or something like that. It's just, look, they're fighting. You can figure out why they are, but this is the show. We're just gonna have them fight. Don't worry about why. And I'm like, thank goodness we don't have to risk mischaracterization. We're already in the action. I think that's possibly the best way they could have handled a situation where they have to make two characters that would not really have any reason to fight, just have the fight already started so that we, the viewer, can fill in the gaps how we feel like it would go down, which I like that.
I find that interesting because that's most people's criticism,
Yeah, a
is
lot of people
that it's a
didn't like
fight
that
that
there was no
needs a
story.
setup.
Like,
Look, I admire it just because it's just like, look, by all accounts, we all know these characters would not have a reason to fight, and you would just take time to artificially set up a reason to make them fight, which people would be still upset at for them
It's true.
being like out of character to force the fight. So then you have them start already fighting, thereby stepping through the issue, and then people are like, oh, well, why are they fighting? Why didn't you explain that? It's like, no matter what the outcome, people would have complained about it. I just like
It's
how they
true.
did that, just so that we can just accept the fight. Oh, we're just fighting. I don't have to see them mischaracterize them to justify it. We can just get to the good action, and I don't have to think about it. I admire them for doing that.
Yeah, I think it was the best move
What?
because sometimes it making a way for two good guys to fight just wouldn't be as interesting as just having a good fight. So like I love stories most of the time, but sometimes you just gotta jump in and be like, yeah, we're just gonna make them fight.
Exactly, like especially for like a scenario like this where it's like this episode was getting hate ever since it was announced on the Kickstarter. So like this, just them just being like, okay, let's just skip to the good stuff so that we can sell you on it, and just not worry about the qualms of like death battle, forced to fight to the death, and having to justify why the pacifist, whose entire arc was about avoiding killing one guy, would go down to a battle of the death.
like, I mean, no one really had complaints when, what was it? Like, the fight that just literally started off rip, there was, like, no real reason to. It was, like, remember, like, the rematch between, like, Link versus Cloud, right? They're just riding their bikes and they just started fighting, just cuz, right? So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that happened, and not really people complained about that. Like, I feel like that kind of opening where they're already fighting and we don't really have to explain why is something that should be used more, especially in like hero matchups, just so that we don't have to waste time trying to justify a scenario happening, because like the show is about seeing who would win in a fight. The why does not really matter for the sake of the debate. This is just here to show you how it might go down. It can be interesting when we have a justifiable reason for it, for the characters to go after each other, but I don't think it's something you need to include, especially if you have to mischaracterize the characters in order to get it to started. So I would rather them in those scenarios to just start them already fighting. You can fill in the gaps however you want to, based on the viewer would buy.
I think that a big reason why the hate for that lack of story thing got started, or at least why the fires got fanned was there was a fireside chat where someone asked Ben, like, hey, how come there wasn't really like a lead up? And then Ben gave a very reasonable, intellectual, smart answer. And then someone took one line from what he said, posted, and I read it out of context. I was like, Ben doesn't care about stories. Ben says he just wants them to fight. And it's like it caused a whole wave of people being like, man, Death Battle's washed. And it's like, man, people just hate on
What the
anything.
fuck?
Like, the show is called Death Battle. The entire purpose is to make people fight and decide who wins. Like,
I,
I don't know what you guys are here for if you don't accept that part of the show.
I think my biggest question would be like, well, how about like people like, okay, there's like no setup. Like, well, how would you write the setup? It's kind of like I really want to ask some of the people that kind of like really harping on like, well, how would you set it up? Like, I mean, this if there's a problem like there's no setup, like how would you set it up? That's what I kind of wonder how some of these people would. I don't think anyone really gave a solution. They're just like, oh well, there's no setup. I don't like that. I was like, well, how would you set it up, right? No one really presents that, I guess. Uh, I don't know. I wonder how people would set it up if they could.
I I appreciate the fact that Aang wasn't going for kill shots for that entire animation. Even when he was getting swiped out with a sword and all this shit, a lot of the moves Aang was doing was to just either get Traveler away or get him to like not be able to fight anymore, freezing him in the water, using his airbending at two different moments to just push him back, using water to try to like put out the fire on his blade and shit like that. He never went for a kill shot the whole animation, other than maybe the ending, but I don't actually know what that big beam of attacks would do to somebody if they hit. I think it's just a reference to Aang versus Ed, where that's how that fight ended.
I mean, it's kind of like what he did when like the Ozai kill shot that never happened. It was like all the
Oh,
elements
that's
into
true.
one Kamehameha blast. I mean,
Yeah.
even if we don't know what had happened, getting shot by rocks and water and fire and air at very high speeds would probably hurt.
I mean, yeah, but I'm more so saying that like he never tried to like slaughter him at any moment,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the Traveler was trying to do to Aang, until maybe the end. But then obviously that played out different. I would say I would probably rank it. How many episodes do we have this year? 7. I'd probably put it at
Yeah.
number 4 this year.
Okay.
I think I like it better than Grumine, Cell Metal, and Bakureze. Granted, I don't think any of those episodes are bad.
Yeah.
I
No,
think
no,
it's
I hear you. Like, I I don't know if I'd put it above like other like I'd have to get a look at what everything in the year to properly rank them. But like I thought it was good. Like if I had to give it a ranking, like 7.5, like it was pretty good. It had some jank here and there, but like overall it was a positive experience. I'd go back and watch it again.
I think that this season or this year, I guess, has generally been very comparable in quality. I don't think there's been like ones that are like massively better and ones that are massively worse. These are kind of like I don't know you if about y'all. This is kind of the year of like the general bar of quality I expect from Death Battle. Like nothing like astounding, but like yeah, this is about the good quality show I'm used to getting.
Yeah, like
Uh,
I think the only episode where I would say that there was a notable dip was Grew Mine, just because that
yeah,
one had a few. The animation for that one looked really, really
and even
rough.
then, I don't hate
Uh,
Grew Mind. I just think there's noticeable flaws that hold it back from the rest.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't think it's like anything close to like Death Battle's lowest, like Mewtwo versus Shadow or anything like that. But like compared to like the bar of quality they've had since like season 9, 10, and like the indie era, like definitely like that's when dropped the ball a wee bit.
I would say
I will
Aang
say
versus
I like
Traveler.
every episode this year more than Doomslayer and Kreutzera.
I would agree with that. I would say
Huh.
Aang, Traveler, and Baku Reze are kind of tied for me at like bottom of the list above Grewmind. Like, and I don't think Baku Reze and Aang Traveler are bad. They're just like not quite as good as the other 4 that came out this year.
Yeah.
I actually quite like Growmind. That's my guilty pleasure. I quite like that
Look,
episode.
I ain't hating you for having
Again,
a
not
different.
bad, not bad. Just
Yeah, it's not bad.
got
Yeah,
some
like
flaws.
who would hate you for liking an episode that I personally don't like? That only weird people would do that.
I feel this is a reference that's going over my head.
No, just a general call out to people who think like
Oh,
that.
just the community.
Yeah, just a general community call out for hating people for liking things.
Yeah, the typical response from, "Hey, I like Aangtraveler." It's like, yeah, well, fuck you then. Okay.
Players like,
Yeah,
People
like,
are getting
I like
children
Aangtraveler.
addicted to gambling now. Is that
And
what we're
then
doing?
people are like, "Oh
How
man,
dare you have a gambling ad in my death battle episode?
Oh, hey, I
how
just got
dare
another
you.
poll in Cookie Run Kingdom.
okay, yeah, the gambling thing was kind of a bit of a okay, guys, what are we doing here?"
My biggest issue with it was that fucking last line where it's like, I'm like, this is taking a long time.
It's for Ether to kill Trap. For Ether to kill Aang.
No. The ad when it was like, uh, if you live in Connecticut, it's like, okay, and it was like they kept going at the end of the ad for so long, and I was like, how they sped up this dialogue? Why does it
So
feel so long?
I watched this episode yesterday. And I at this point it's no longer on YouTube, so I watched it on the website where there are no ads, so I didn't see that.
Oh, I didn't know that was YouTube specific. That's interesting.
Well, I mean, yeah, like they won't really run ads on the website versions of the battles because why? I guess they, they don't do that.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a gambling ad in the YouTube version, and the very end they have like the whole disclaimer like line where the guy it speeds up a guy going over like the if you're under the so and so age, whatever, right? But it lasts for like a minute and a half. And I'm just like, oh my god, dude.
Yeah, this is why I skipped the ads.
They need the watch time. I watch the ads. That's I feel like that's pretty much it for Aangtraveler. Now it's the meat and potatoes. Wait, what is it again? Oh, who should Ryu fight? And I'm gonna maybe I'll just say Nebula Theater. Who should Ryu fight on a Nebuling Theater? I need water, bro. Hold on.
While he drinks, I will
Admit-
say we are going to be talking about Find That Matchup, where we find a matchup for a character. And today we will be finding a matchup for the Road Warrior Ryu from famous fighting game Street Fighter.
Here it is.
Whenever I think of Ryu, I grew up with Street Fighter a lot. One of my favorite games.
Oh, he's getting out the merch. He's
How's that
digging for
weapon?
merch.
Nice. Bringing it out.
He's coming back.
One of my favorite games on the PSP is Street Fighter Alpha 3 Max. This game is fire. It brings in that random girl that was in that crossover fighting game that has a bunch of Capcom franchises in it. I think her name is Ingrid.
Oh
can't remember.
yeah, Ingrid. She's technically
It's a very
Street
good
Fighter
version of Street
character.
Fighter.
Yeah.
I remember specifically when I was a kid, so the deal with my parents was that if I wanted a new game, I would have to read books. So my mom for Pokemon Rumble, she was like, you have to read 10 books and then you have to write a report on those books and you're going to have to let me read them in order to get it. And I did that for Street Fighter 4. And I remember because I did all that work for it, I didn't even give a fuck about anything about the game. But the whole time, I'm like, this is amazing. I love this fucking game. I play it now and I can see more of the flaws. But as a kid, my mom was like, is it everything you want? I was like, yes. Yes, it is. It's watercolor. It's beautiful. Um, but I like Street Fighter a lot. So it's nice that the franchise is still going strong after 5 nearly buried it.
Damn, you had to write
Where did Sherm?
You
You
know,
had to
Where'd
write,
Sherm go?
you had to write a book report on 10
but
books to get a single game. That is
this,
crazy.
you know what? But like,
Uh,
some motivation. The Street Fighter nostalgia for me, like LeBlanc, like it's Street Fighter Third Strike. That's it for me on PlayStation 2 and 3. I was like, oh, loved. That's I think that's like tied of the number one like fight game next to like Marvel versus Capcom 3. You know,
Yeah.
um,
My,
yeah,
my My love for Street Fighter. I am a recent fan of fighting games, but a passionate one. My thing was always Darkstalkers back in the day, but when I was attending college, the local arcade did have a Third Strike cabinet, and I used to play the crap out of that when I had time.
base. You can put the
I don't
coins
have
up there.
I don't have the Alpha Anthology, but I have the Anniversary Collection,
That's the same one I had. That's the same one.
Nice.
and I got this at a local game shop not long ago. Street Fighter EX3. Have you even heard of this motherfucker? This shit's so
Oh, I've
amazing.
seen that. I watched
I've heard
Thorgy's
of it.
Street Fighter retrospective. I've heard of that. That
Nice.
that is crazy.
I love Street Fighter.
Like Street
Anyway, we're
Fighter
talking about
6.
Ryu. I want the first person to go. Whoever's talking about, was it Kyo?
Me. Yes.
That's gonna be you.
All right, so I am going to go over one that is just, I don't want to say generic because of the connotation, but definitely one that, like, when you look on it, you just say, oh yeah, that makes sense, especially if you know the history of, like, SNK and Capcom's rivalry. It'll be Ryu versus Kyo Kusanagi from King of Fighters. And the connections on itself, if you're just looking at the games, makes sense, but are simple. Both are martial artists from from the country of Japan that represent their country in martial arts tournaments and whatnot. And they both have an access to a sacred power that, have some darker themes or relations to it. Ryu, touching into the Hatsu. Blah, 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 I cannot speak. The hot.
Hatsui no Hado.
Yeah, that one. I don't know why I can't say it right now. And then later, the power of nothingness at once he kind of controls it, and Kyo, being blessed with the flame of the Kusanagi clan, used to battle the ancient god Orochi and helping him seal it, along with, two other main abilities that aren't entirely relevant for this debate. Both are basically the poster boys of their fighting games, and, whenever a new one comes around, they're always there, if not the main spotlight, a main supporting spotlight into whatever the threat of the week is. And, on that surface, they're also just like really nice guys. And Kyo has had his own kind of like, not really struggling to control my power, but like during the Net saga, he kind of got captured and experimented and cloned. So he kind of went on this lone wolf arc where he kind of went in as a solo fighter, just, really edgy before realizing, yeah, the power is friendship and getting his team back together. But the main
I thought
appeal.
you were gonna say the power is friendship and getting his teeth kicked in. I was like, oh my god.
Oh yeah, with the power of friendship, just gets kicked by Ryu. But yeah,
The fucking smash kick sucks, bro.
yeah. But the main appeal, I don't want to say main appeal, but like the biggest reason why I think this one works is just fighting games have like rivalry, and the whole thing about fighting games is that, back in the days, you'd battle people. Even in the game, there are like in-game rivalries, or if you're just playing at the arcade, maybe there's that one guy who's just really good at Sagat that you're trying to just beat. It's, I think rivalries and personal, like, grudges and settling things in the heart of battle, that is like at the core of the fighting game experience, is just, battling for the sake of battling and having fun with it. And I think Ryu and Kyo perfectly represent that, because not only are these like two of the main faces of fighting games, but also they represent like SNK and Capcom, two of like the main fathers of fighting games in the modern sense. And they themselves have had a rivalry between each other that kind of mirrors the same rivalries we have in arcades when we select these characters and decide to fight as them. And I think if we did it, it would be like a great celebration of just like the friendly camaraderie and rivalry whenever we decide to sit down and settle things in the fighting game, but yet whatnot. I think it just kind of captures that feeling and the legacy between these two companies of just celebrating fighting games and just fighting and having a good time.
Next up, reppin' Mr. Kenshiro, Jobber.
So like for this one, right, Ryu versus Kenshiro. Now, I first like even just seen this matchup in like a blog a long time ago. I read it. It was like, oh, it's a pretty cool matchup. Like I mean, it's pretty straightforward. These are both like world traveling martial artists, right? They've been basically training since they were a kid, right? They both have their respective like I guess like let's say partners or brothers in arms when they were fighting, right? And I guess an interesting thing is, Kenshiro is known for basically the touch of death, essentially, where he goes, and you're just like, yeah, you're done. He's like, yeah, you have like 5 seconds to live, and like hit subscribe, and like saying, and you're just done. But
Hit subscribe.
yeah, like I guess. But then Ryu, on the other hand, I mean, he's masked. Was it? He's been played with like I guess I forgot I think it was the Satsui no Hado for a bit before he attained like I guess like the goodness, the oneness, I think this was called, right? But he can perform like I guess the multiple hit like Raging Demon, right, which basically destroys your soul. So something a little similar to like the pressure point somewhere where it's like if you get hit by this attack, you're done, you're dead, right? Um, Actually, speaking of the ultimate, like I guess ultimate attacks, right? I did mention like Ryu does have like the oneness form, which is like his pure state, and like Kenshiro I guess has something like I think similar. I think it's Musho Tensei or Muno Ken. No wait it's Musho Tensei. No Muno Ken I think is just the oneness for Ryu, but either way they both have like I guess those like type of pure forms, and also just the crossover potential of like I feel like it's such a natural crossover with Street Fighter and Fist North Star. I guess if that makes any sense, surprisingly, where it's like imagine this wasteland, right? Similar to how Street Fighter crossed over with Asura's Wrath. That's how I kind of imagine the two characters of Ryu in like Kenshiro kind of just meeting, even if it doesn't technically make any sense. Where like they're like what was it? Ryu is like wandering into this apocalyptic wasteland that is Fist of the North Star, and then he encounters Kenshiro, or maybe it's the other way around, right? And they kind of just start throwing hands at each other. I think it's pretty straightforward, generally cool fight, and also the debate. I mean, it's got a pretty nice debate to it, all that type of stuff. So I like it.
Fist
Do
of the
we
North
want to
Star and
end
Street
on the
Fighter is a good
crazy
combo.
one? Do we want to end on the crazy one or the most popular one?
Uh,
I mean, they both sound crazy in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
Crazy in different ways, perhaps.
Yes,
I'll
crazy in
do
very different ways.
I get the
I'll
feeling you
do
want to like
mine.
leave the build up for your one, so you want me to go.
No, I'll do mine now. It's
Okay.
okay. Um, I decided to put Ryu against Jack and Dexter from the Jack and Dexter game series. What compelled me to this decision was that I like Jack and Dexter and I like no. There's themes of both of their games of being under wise people. For Jack it was Samos, for Ryu it was Goken. Um who would teach them a certain way of life, and then after certain things happen, darkness would overtake Ryu, and Jack was infected with the dark eco, um, making both of them have random sporadic moments of violence. Right? Anyone that knows Street Fighter's lore, you know that that's how got a scar. Right? Is Ryu losing control and just boom uppercutting him and
Yeah.
cutting his chest open.
Yeah.
How you did that with an uppercut is crazy work, dude. But that's okay.
Viltrumite
Um,
style.
uh,
throughout throughout their adventures, and because of different factors, both would get outcast from the people they knew. Jack gets outcast because of governmental plot bullshit, and Ryu goes away on a journey to essentially find himself. And in both of their journeys, um, they come across a way to kind of control that kind of madness. For Jack, it was the light eco, and for Ryu, it was the power of nothingness that made the violence turn itself off. Essentially, in both series, they have moments of being like, "I don't feel it anymore. Like, I don't feel that kind of anger anymore, or that kind of violence. It's gone." But then they can still use and control that old power that they had, even though the new one is 100% fucking better for both of them. Um, and then they would both be instrumental in recoupling with their friends after getting this power. And Ryu, by accident, um, they helped dethrone the people that were going against them. It was the Dark Makers for Jack, and then the Shadowloo for Ryu. The biggest thing with the fight that's like the standout, like of everyone on the list, is the fight itself. Uh, Ryu is a hand-to-hand fighter that has the Hadouken and different ways to manipulate ki. And I almost said Ratchet. Holy shit, Ratchet! That's a completely different fucking story right there. Jack has his eco and his guns to fight. The red ones being like shotguns, grenades, blue being like Gatling guns, whatever. The fun thing is that eco is not bullets or anything like that. The guns are just shooting energy, and Ryu can manipulate energy and block energy like that. Pretty sure he could also do the same to bullets, but like actual bullets flying at him, he just the fucking Street Fighter 3 perfect block. Imagine Jack with the Gatling gun shooting blue eco, and all you hear is like as he's shooting it. That
Just Daigo
the
parries
fight.
Gatling gun until he's out of ammo and then goes into super. That would be fun to see.
Yeah, Jack also knows hand-to-hand combat as well. Not even just in Jack 1, but in Jack 2, 3, Lost Frontiers, and X, he has good moments of hand-to-hand combat as well. Is he taking Ryu in a boxing match? No, but he does have other tricks. The Dark Hado makes Ryu a lot more spam heavy, so like throwing a bunch of multiple fireballs in the air and shit like that, and he can do like this intangible teleport thing. Whereas Jack in his Jack in his Dark Hado form, Jack in his Dark Eco form, has powerful slashes. He can like shoot like blast energy that are kind of similar to a Hadouken, grow in size and the such. And then the power of nothingness for Ryu is very just like a super powerful form. His Hadouken is now a Kamehameha that just blasts through things. And then Light Jack's form gives him the power of flight, the power to heal himself, and the power to stop time. I think that's a majority.
A Kamehameha, you say?
It's not like a stop time, but it's like slows it to like barely anything, so it might as well just be a stop time.
Ah, okay. Huh.
Things still move, but like it would take me about 3 hours to move my hand half an inch. That's the time. That's why I call it a time stop.
Damn.
You know,
In a way, that kind of could work because that's like a thing in fighting games where you like access the mode to increase your speed. This is obviously way more advanced, but there's like you could make a parallel there.
yeah. And one thing I want to say about Jack and Daxter for a Ryu opponent is that I think even Kyo Kusanagi suffers from a thing a lot of Ryu matchups do, is that they don't really go too deeply into like Ryu's main character arc throughout the series, and that is his struggle to control the Satsuya no Hado and like, becoming a better warrior and practicing and controlling it. So I do admire that this one is actually thematically appropriate with Ryu's arc and plays into that very well. If we did that one, I could see us writing a really good story of like, one of them just kind of recognizing the other in the struggle and just being like, "Hey, easy, easy," you know. Have Ryu say something about like, "We find our true selves within the hearts of battle," before they both go into like, their good super forms and like having a friendly bout in that.
Flowing shopping list that has Ryu ever fought two guys at once? I think canonically he fought Juri and Junie in Street Fighter Alpha 3 at the same time. But I actually don't know what's canon in that game because every ending is like the same but different.
Yeah,
But I'm pretty sure Ryu fought. There's a special match you can get if you beat every round filling certain conditions, and you do a 2-on-1 fight against Juri and Junie,
I feel like
and
Ryu could
that
take.
would work.
I mean, I feel like
Also,
Ryu could take
what's Dexter
multiple.
doing?
His best.
I think his best. I think the only thing Dexter could do. I mean, I
If
forgot.
we give Jack Dexter, then Ryu has to have Ken. This is a
True, true.
Violent Ken versus Dark Dexter, baby.
There we
Hell
go.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah, yeah.
where it
This is
is.
the true Jack and Daxter Street Fighter matchup.
Oh, the last connection was that they were both people who were extremely gifted in harnessing natural energy. Jack was just such a natural in Jack 1, which is what caused the whole like Dexter explosion thing. If anyone knows Jack 1, he touches this artifact and it just reacts to him. Um, that's because of his into nature to like manipulate the things that the sages manipulate, right? That's why you can manipulate all four forms of eco and control the light eco form. When a lot of people can only harness one through their body at one point. And Ryu is just a naturally gifted person with ki, which is just the natural energy in that universe. Um, and that's kind of part of the reason he also got corrupted with it, which is also kind of the reason that Jack got corrupted with it, because his body could harness things that killed other people. Wow, this is weirdly thematic for what I wanted for Jack.
Wait, it seems like
All
a good
right.
idea though.
I really, really like the sound of this matchup. My biggest thing holding me back from it is the whole like fight dynamic. Because as of the latest Jack and Daxter games, I feel like Jack is mostly a gun user with some melee options, as opposed to Ryu, the Street Fighter, with a couple of ranged options. But Jack was mostly a melee fighter in the first game, if I remember correctly. So, like, I think you can do a lot of cool close quarters combat playing into like the Shoryuken versus. I like the idea of Jack, the platforming protagonist, meeting the best anti-air that is the Shoryuken. I think that's a very fun. Um,
Oh
yeah,
my
I
god.
like this idea a lot.
Also, keep in mind that Jack only has one gun, so
Yeah,
it'd be very easy to disarm him.
he does like
Anyway,
the Batman panel. This is the weapon of the enemy. Just like breaks in front of Jack.
Jack 1 and Lost Frontier. Lost Frontier also did have guns. They were like worse versions of the ones from Jack 3, but it did have guns.
I really like this idea,
Uh,
Plank. I think you're onto something.
I think I just created this. Yeah.
A desperation leads to
Anyways,
innovation, or something like that.
moving on to the main squeeze. I don't know why I
The
introduced it
main
like that.
squeeze that is Ryu versus Goku.
Yeah.
I like Ryu versus Goku a lot. I think it's the most popular Ryu matchup right now. I don't think I need to like do a whole big thing selling the basic premise. I think everyone knows like they are warriors that love to fight strong opponents. They are the archetypical guys, you know. Goku's like the anime character. Ryu is the fighting game character. I think what people underestimate about comp versus comp, because people look at it and they're like, "Oh, this is just some weird gimmicky way to make the fight debatable." I think making a comp versus comp actually makes it more thematic, because that's what Ryu and Goku are all about: traveling the world, meeting all these people, and constantly encountering challenges to just improve themselves. And the comp versus comp nature, I feel, actually improves on that theme, because we can talk about all like the anime Goku has crossed over with, and all the timeline shenanigans he's gotten, and all the OP Dragon Ball side games and side movies. And we can talk about Ryu going to all the different Capcom worlds and fighting everyone. I think the comp nature improves on the thematics. It makes it far more compelling. Uh, Dynamically, I think there's a lot of very interesting comparisons we can make. I like the idea of it starting off pretty grounded, you know, base Ryu versus base Goku, either in like the World Martial Arts Tournament or some other kind of making sense grounded world. That sentence didn't make any sense. Let's move on. In a grounded setting that makes sense. I like the idea of like them amping it up where they're kind of like testing each other. Like everyone knows about Ryu Ranger. That's what they want to see in the fight is if you're using comp Ryu, you gotta do his Power Ranger transformation. A lot of people say that's like the final transformation. I actually think Ryu Ranger works better as like an early transformation where like maybe Goku transforms into like a Super Saiyan and then Ryu responds with Ranger Ryu because Ranger Ryu isn't like super thematic for Ryu. It's just kind of a fun, powerful transformation. Um, I also like the idea of now this is very, very contentious on if Goku has this, but this is comp versus comp. There is some maybe potential possibility that there's a version of Goku that knows Sage Mode from Naruto. Because like there's like the one where he's like he has gear that you only get if you train with the toads on Mount Miyaboku, and he does like this is a costume for Goku where you wear this gear, and he does some of his attacks by doing Naruto hand signs. So you could arguably give Goku Naruto Sage Mode, which I think is very funny. But even beyond that, I like making a comparison between Super Saiyan 4 and the Satsui no Hado because those are like kind of transformations that are like kind of giving into like their instincts for combat because like that's like their whole thing is like Ryu Satsui no Hado and Goku Saiyan heritage. In the first half of Z, being a Saiyan was like being like an evil thing. And I like the idea of like the Saiyan instinct of like anger, pride, ego. Like these are all very Satsui no Hado things. So I like the idea of like Satsui no Hado fighting like a Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Because I think that's just a very thematic comparison to make. And I also like the idea of obviously comparison everyone makes is the power of nothingness for Ryu and Ultra Instinct for Goku. Those are just very like they've reached their spiritual and mental perfection. They act without like emotion or thought. It's very good. But they can actually go beyond this because Ryu actually has a form where he combines the power of nothingness with the Satsui no Hado. And Goku, I think very recently in the Xenoverse 2 DLC, if anyone knows Xenoverse, there's like the supervillain transformation. They tried to do that on Goku. And a supervillain transformation mind hacks is like literally everyone else. Goku, the only character in Dragon Ball, better anti-corruption hacks than the Kais, goes into Ultra Instinct, which purifies the supervillain transformation. And I wrote it down because it doesn't have a very good name. But this transformation is called Ultra Supervillain Quelled. So it's like a further transformation beyond Ultra Instinct. And I like comparing that to combining the power of nothingness with Satsui no Hado because they're both using the power of these like nirvana mindsets to quell the dark powers that are trying to corrupt them. So shockingly, these archetypical traveling martial artists have a lot of thematic parallels. Who would have thought? But yeah, I just love this idea of covering all the anime Goku has crossover with, all the games and other things Ryu has crossover with, and the fight's just kind of perfect. Like it's as good of a fight for these two as you can get, really. I love it.
Okay. All right.
I have to keep muting my mic because they're doing yard work outside of my window right as we speak. Great timing on my part to do this. So that's the 4 matchups. Trop is going to set up a poll. Let me know when you do that, Trop. And we will have you vote. And then after this next section, we will we'll talk about it. Or we'll decide. I don't know what's happening. I'm gonna real quick, I'm gonna go to the starting soon screen and then we're gonna come back. Okay? Share my screen. I forgot what I'm supposed to do. for this, I might mute my mic just so you don't hear the stupid yard work happening. Oh, it looks like we hold on. Let me get me and Sherm back from the void.
Oh no, not the void.
Not the void. Annoyed the void.
We-
Oh wait, if I go there, do I? Oh, I can't have the animation up and see ourselves. I quit. I'm done. Nebula's over just because of this. This is a Celeste animation that I really enjoy. This yard work is killing me right now. I might actually bring my laptop into the other room. I might actually do that. Anyway, let me introduce this and then we'll fucking do it. This is a Celeste animation that's done by Hyper Starman. A lot of collaborators in it. And it's got a lot of indie game representation in it. So I think it would be fun to go through it and like talk about indie games we love. Yeah. Does anyone here play Celeste?
No,
For
I'm
sure,
not
not
good
yet,
enough.
no.
I've seen a let's play of it, but I haven't played it myself.
I've seen a lot about it though. I just can't play it due to lack of skill.
Scale issue.
Wow, skill issue.
I gotta eventually get the game.
You guys should. It legit, it's really hard, but it is one of my favorite games of all time. Just really, really solid game. Hopefully, moving into another room didn't make this sound as bad as it does. Actually, I bet I can make it sound even better if I. You ever see somebody try to adjust for a bunch of fucking noise live on stream? You just did today, boys.
There you go.
You just did today. Anyways, this is a Celeste animation that I like a lot. Celeste is a really good game. It's all about finding yourself and determining your purpose. So let's start. A lot of people put a lot of work in it, and I really enjoy it. Can you all see this?
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yep.
Okay. I forgot my phone in the other room. Damn it! That's how I was reading chat.
Are we supposed to hear anything? Oh.
You should hear it.
It's very quiet.
Yeah, turn up your stream volume, Sherm. Oh, this animation is smooth.
This animation is beautiful. I fell in love with this video. It's one of my favorite YouTube videos, right next to Shelter from Porter Robinson.
Oh man, like I'm in love with this art style, man.
It's nice.
So have you guys seen this? No?
I've seen it.
I'm not.
This is my first time.
Celeste is Peak. Oh, no, it's not. Peak is a
It's
different
pun.
game.
You get to the peak.
No, you get to the summit.
What's the difference?
Fucking loser.
Learn geography.
I was never good at math.
I wasn't even talking about math.
That's geometry, Sherm.
I thought that was the rock study thing.
That's geology.
I thought that was the Pokemon with two arms. And it's a rock.
So that's Geodude. It starts off very cute. This dark Madeline thing that you keep seeing is like a character that was. It's like her negative side of herself
Yeah,
that
battling.
hinders her throughout the game. At the end of the game, they become partners and friends, learning to accept your good and bad sides, essentially.
That's nice.
It's a really amazing game.
Long live the king.
And then this is where I was just like, oh, okay, so this isn't a Celeste animation, got it. It's a huge ass crossover of a bunch of fucking indie games. I feel like I don't need to pause for Frisk. Frisk is pretty obvious. It's got a lot of fucking matchups associated with it. I think the
I
most
love
popular
how-
is Ness.
I don't know
love
if there's
how they
any
give,
Frisk matchup I particularly care for, but yeah.
I love how they give Celeste the persistence soul. I think that's very thematic for her.
Fun.
And the heart is also doing things that it doesn't Celeste. If you notice, like the going to the bubbles and all that is a Celeste thing.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I think. Oh, there's. I'm gonna go back for that. Sorry. Because there's sometimes characters that you don't expect to be there, and this one's kind of obvious. But you got
Oh, it's the
Sans and
judge.
Judge together.
They should fight
Pablo
each other.
is his actual name. They should fight each other. But Sans also has Higuruma, and that's also fun.
Yeah, that's also a good option.
I don't know if you guys noticed. Did you see
That
the
the
little
annoying
reference?
goose?
No, that's the
Yes.
Untitled Goose.
Oh.
Untitled, yeah. I don't know if you guys saw, but look in the reflection. It's the cat from
Deltarune?
oh my god. No, the one
Red?
with the light in her hands.
Oh,
Nico?
from One Shot.
Yeah.
That was Nico?
Yeah, the untitled. It's supposed to be, yeah.
Very subtle reference.
There's Untitled Goose. There's subtle shit all over the place.
I guess the Affleck duck. That's the only one I know for the Untitled Goose.
I don't know what that is.
Oh,
If
I
somebody
think
can explain to me what
That's a guy people want Gino from Mario to fight. He's like some puppet from some puppet indie game. I think his name's Red, which makes it hard to look him
Okay.
up because there's a lot of other characters named Red.
Yeah, I've actually.
I
haven't
am
heard of
sorry.
this one.
I'm typing this up right now so I remember because I'm all. This is me using you so I can understand the indie games I don't know and then
If I
play
look
them.
up Gino versus Red, he might show up. Gino versus Red. Yes. Okay. If you look up Gino versus Red, you will see it is Red from Everhood.
Everhood. Okay, yes. Randomly Cave Story, people. I don't
Maiden
know.
Abyss.
Oh, this is Cave Story.
Yeah, yeah. And so he blows the door to the underground open, and then Hollow Knight.
Damn, it was that easy? Just had to blow it up.
Yes, sir.
They just have to blow
That's
it up.
one way to make it back to the surface.
Yeah, there it is.
So there's the not the map keeper, but he's a what I can't remember his name
It's
from
Quill.
Hollow Knight. Is Quill?
Yeah, I love Quill.
So this is very subtle, but these little things here open, and it looks like something from Omori.
Oh.
That's
And then if
dark.
you see in this next shot, it's really quick. I missed it my first watch. She walks past him. He's behind her, curled up on the chair.
Oh, that's
Oh.
nice.
Obviously, Omori batter, Omori room.
Night Ori.
There was another one. No. There's another one. Oh, Raz and Omori is the other one that people really like in the community.
I'm a Room fan myself.
We're just going over indie matchups now.
I mean, isn't that the goal?
Oh,
Yes.
Oh, I guess we are.
Obviously, Hollow Knight has Ori. I don't know if there's any actually other good matchups for Hollow Knight.
I mean,
I think Hornet versus Melano from Hades sounds fun.
yeah. Millinois. I also know Millinois. No. Hornet also has like frickin' Mina the Hollower from that new Yacht Club game.
There's Nico.
Oh, yeah. Now Nico's here for good.
Nico does not need to be in a matchup.
No.
Nico is precious.
Nico can stay home. Hey,
There's a
that
lot-
one roguelike.
That's
Beheaded is his name. Trying to pause it.
Cave,
the-
Cadence.
Cadence from Crypt of the Necro Dancer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shovel Knight, I guess.
Okay, that's everything. I don't know who Crypt would fight.
The only one I know is
there's
Shovel
a-
Knight.
There's a fall guy back there chilling.
Yeah,
He's had his time. We can move on.
But yeah, we got a good fall guys. Does Crypt have any good other than Shovel Knight?
well, it is a rhythm game, so like I could see her going against like Chorus Kids or another Rhythm Heaven character.
I've heard Shantae is a matchup triangle with Cadence.
Oh yeah. That's also another good one.
Really gotta play that game Nico's from. So, this is a boss from fucking oh god damn, I'm so stupid. I played it for a debate I had on Fan Battle.
Is that
No,
Freedom
it
Planet?
Freedom Planet. Yep, that's a robot from Freedom Planet too.
Ah!
Sash Lilac versus not Sash, Shantae.
Oh, here's Shantae.
Now I like Shantae versus Rayman. I think that's the fun matchup for Shantae.
That's funny.
You know, I can see it.
It's the first time I heard for Shantae versus Rayman, though.
I really like Shantae versus Rayman. I think they would like
Honestly,
vibe with each other.
I feel like Shantae has a good like general spread against like platforming characters.
There's Sash Lilac versus Electric Jester, whatever his name is. The other.
I
comic,
love
like,
that matchup so much.
Spark.
Electric Jester Spark.
There's also like Cream
Sir-
the Rabbit versus a Freedom Planet character. I don't know who it is though, but
It's that White Rabbit character. I forget their name.
Yeah,
I think it's.
that seems
They're all just a
interesting.
character.
I think it starts with an end. Not sure. Oh,
Henry Stickmin, Ori,
Ori. Oh, wait. Where was Henry?
right there. Oh,
my
and
God, in the
Castle
Castle
Crashers.
Crashers.
yeah, he's teleported.
Yeah.
Henry Stickmin versus the Second Coming, and the Castle Crashers versus Four Swords Link.
Four Swords Link is insane. I would fully hand draw that episode myself.
Oh my gosh. Four Swords Link and Castle Crashers is a
Ori.
new concept. Hi, Ori.
Ori and Knight, honestly.
I need
Ori,
to
good
play
to see
the
you.
Ori games. I have
They're
them on
so
Steam. I
good,
just haven't
dude.
gotten around to playing them yet.
They credit all the animators at the end for all the shots. It's very interesting how many hands got on this spot.
Shovel
Shovel
Knight.
Yeah.
Of course, you
Before
need to
the
have an
indie games.
obligatory Shovel Knight mention for indie
I don't know
games.
who I want Shovel Knight to fight. Hey, Cuphead.
Cuphead and Mugman
Cuphead.
down
Mugman. I don't know. Like,
I guess
I'm
Death,
not
I
really
guess.
a fan of a lot of
Cuphead.
Shovel Knight's options. I mean, I vibe with Shantae versus Shovel Knight.
Or
That's
Shantae.
fine.
Hat
Oh,
Kid.
Hat Kid.
Oh, my goat Hat Kid right
I
here.
had kid.
Hat Kid not playable on Switch.
The Spectre from Hat Kid has some fun matchups.
Did I tell you that I tried to play a Hat in Time? Remember I bitched that the Switch port sucks and like I hate that mustache girl because of it. I tried to play it fucking 3 days ago and it immediately crashed after the opening section. And so I was like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to play a Hat in Time anymore. I'm fine.
That's weird because I've never had an
Dang.
issue with it on the Switch port.
I played it on the Switch and it sucked. This time I tried to play it, it was on the Switch 2 and it still is crashing.
Play it on Steam, my brother in Christ.
I don't want to have to rebuy the game. The only reason I bought it on Switch in the first place was because they locked fucking content to that console when I bought it. Because you couldn't get the DLC stuff on PC or any other console. It was literally only on the Switch version. And the Switch version is cracked and does not work.
I
don't
will
know why they would do
say,
that.
I like Cuphead versus Bendy. It gets a lot of hate. I still think that's a fun idea.
I do too.
I mean, I kind of like Hat Kid versus like that one chick from oh gosh, what's it called? The
Umbrella.
yeah. I mean, I kind of like Umbrella for her, but it doesn't really go into Umbrella's thematics. There's like this one indie platformer about a kid from hell, and her name is Beebs. I forget what the game is called. Demon Turf. The protagonist of Demon Turf and Hat Kid is one I vibe with.
I've heard the
I-
Snatcher from Hat Kid versus the Nowhere King from Centaur World, and I think that seems very fun. That
Oh,
seems
yeah,
like an
and
interesting
From
idea.
Hat Kid.
And if we're talking about like general Hat in Time matchups, BB Hood versus Mustache Girl is one of my favorite matchups for both series. I love that one.
I
so
really
much.
like Hat Kid versus Astrobot is one I vibe with a lot.
Oh, I can vibe
One-
with that one.
I think
It's like the corporation versus the indie.
Hat Kid wins because they have a disk drive.
Hat Kid wins because they're so much more powerful because of the fucking time shenanigans. That little owl was from Ori. At what point did the knight even jump on this ship? What the fuck? And if Nico drops that, then everything sucks. So I don't know why this guy from Cave Story would put her in this situation. And that is the dragon from Freedom Planet. I do not believe there is any more blatant crossovers. I think that's like the end of that.
It Could be a blink and you miss it.
I know. I've checked this. There's no one new in here. I've checked this a million times to see if I can catch anyone new. I tried my best.
Yeah, it's just like a highlight reel of like the rest of them.
Also, do you like the song? It's by Therewolf.
Oh yeah, it
It's
sounds
good.
nice.
I know it's by Therewolf, actually. Oh.
I particularly love the ending of this, but it's also just because I love the ending of Celeste. Just a serene moment of victory. It's like a sad, positive thing. I don't know how to explain it. It's very specific feeling you get.
When the Traveler did the
accomplish a
lightning
cra-
zap up the cliff to get to Aang, was that a Celeste reference?
Nope.
Dang. But yeah, I get what you mean. It's like that sense of satisfaction.
It's like it's over, but you made it.
I thought Madeline's
like
shoe was the
bittersweet.
back of someone's head at first.
It was.
As long as she
what game?
As long as she doesn't screw up the jump this time.
Here it goes.
And she died. But this
Yeah.
is what I'm talking about. This scene, I like this scene so much. But it's just kind of how the game ends, so it's just the same thing.
And then they make strawberry pie.
Yes.
Especially with the music, Therewolf did a very good job. Just a quiet moment of, I did it. And then you had to collect the fucking strawberries through all that because you forgot about them.
Oh no, the
These
pie's
are
gonna
all
taste terrible.
This is also fun. I don't know who did the sprite art for this. But like all the characters get little sprite art things as it goes. And they look custom. I could be wrong about this.
I mean, I haven't seen them before, so that is possible.
And also it plays the music every time it introduces a character that's like a reference to their
These
series.
almost look like Rivals
But
of
there's-
Ether style sprites.
Very well could be.
They could have been taken from the workshop, because I know indie character. I think I have seen that Hollow Knight sprite used in a workshop before, actually.
You're probably right about that. And there's one last image that like has shit. So
Hey, there's an Among Us.
Yes.
Another game
What
reference
did
at
he
the
say?
very end, Among Us.
Well, why is the Among Us
Among
like
Us
so,
was in the
like,
background earlier.
it looks so
Fall
suspicious?
Guys
like-
was. I don't remember.
No,
there
that
being
was
a
Fall
Among Us.
Guys. So there's a couple things here. That is Balatro's card that's on the table right there.
Is that the Geometry Dash square?
Yeah, that's a Geometry Dash thing right there. Is that it? Is that all? Is that all? I think that's everything. Sam's asleep and Pablo's next to him. Did we really need them again? Get them out of here. I don't know. Oh, that's just the picture of the family. Never mind.
I think
I was about to be like, I don't know what that picture is.
I think I see.
And that's Shantae as a monkey. That's not a new character comments. That's just Shantae in the monkey form.
That's just Shantae right there. I think I see Hero Brian
Literally
behind
just
that
him.
window. You see him?
Hero Brian behind the window? I did.
He's right there.
Let me-
No,
That
Hyper
may
had
just
to.
be on your computer. You
Hy-
better
no,
watch
Hyper
out.
had to. The Hyper removed Hero Brian. It was in the patch notes.
Oh, DJ Tiki apparently was on this for something.
Ooh, the Stanley Parable. That's another reference.
Origin the Hero helped with it. How many more people have we worked with on this?
Hornet versus Mina.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was that. I wanted to show people that because I really like that animation a lot, and it was made by someone in the versus scene.
It's a good
I'm
animation.
gonna switch
It's
back,
great.
and
Yeah. Go
I
check it out.
my camera is gone because I left to avoid the amount of noise, so I had to unhook my camera. So I guess what we can do. Can I stop? Yeah. I guess what we can do is we can look at the poll results and end off because I'm probably gonna steal one or two of you for a meeting right after this. So Trop, let's see that poll. I can't see it because it's my channel that made the poll. So on my mobile, the poll doesn't show up for me at all. So I'm very curious what it looks like right now.
I think you'll be surprised.
Yeah, Jax.
Why is it Jax?
No, it's tied
Yes.
with Goku at 38%.
What?
That is his name. His name isn't Jax.
Wait!
You know what?
Jax
Yeah.
from the Amazing Digital Circus, when did you get here?
No, it's actually Jax from Mortal Kombat.
What is going on?
The greatest fighting game matchup everyone wants. Ryu from Street Fighter versus Jax from Mortal Kombat.
That's crazy that Jack type that you know what that might be a meme, but I feel like I had genuine reasons for enjoying that
No,
it's
matchup, so
Jackster.
I'm happy with
It
it.
unironically
Jax-
is a fun matchup. The only thing holding it back for me is the whole gun versus fist dynamic.
I don't know if you can't look past it and see the Dago parry of the Gatling gun. I don't know what to tell you.
Ryu has fought guns, so I think I like it. I'm here for it. Goku's my passion, but Jax sounds like it'd be really really fun.
Unironically,
I like
I
that
wouldn't mind doing
the
Jax
gun
versus,
the gun is the smoking gun, and not the fucking time stop. I felt like that was kind of a bigger deal, but all right. Anyway, that's it for today. Sherman's cleaning his camera.
I
and,
hurt myself.
we'll
Don't worry about it. Finish the stream.
We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Have a good one.
everyone.
Bye.